see you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Now, Storm Eunice has been causing all sorts of chaos across the UK, particularly today. Has there been any disruptions for you in training?
A little bit, because it's pretty bad, but overall not too much. We've been okay. We managed to probably miss the worst of it, hopefully, but obviously it's bad for everybody, and it's not the best situation.
Now, a lot has happened over the last week and a half. There's been so much said about the Kurt Zouma situation. I know you spoke to the press at length last week about it. There's been a lot of reports, though, that feel like they're maybe a bit misleading of what's going on. I just wondered if you could just clear up for us the current situation with regards to the investigation, the courses, whether there's been any donations made or not made, just to provide some clarity for everybody.
Well, if you just tell me exactly what you mean by misleading, then I would try and answer it, because I think we've been incredibly clear and concise in everything we've said. But if you could back up what you said then, misleading, and tell me what that means.
Yeah, misleading reports in the press, not by West Ham themselves, not by you guys and what you've been saying, but there's been some reports this week, for example, where the RSPCA have come out and said that they haven't received any donations, that they haven't had any contact about any courses. I just wondered if you could just clear that situation up.
Well, I couldn't clear all that up because I don't know exactly about where the money goes and when it goes, but what I do know is that there's an investigation going on at the moment. It takes time. Normally that will be the time when I'm guessing the monies would be passed over, but again, I'm not an expert in that, so I don't think there's anything that this football club or from me has been misleading at all.
Okay, fair point. Now for the squad, how are they feeling with everything that's gone on? Obviously it's not a nice distraction what they've had to go through as well. How is the atmosphere amongst the team?
Well, the atmosphere's always been good here. I think one of the biggest things we have is a really good team spirit, a group of lads who are resilient, and they showed it again last week in their performance against Leicester to come from behind. You know, we showed it even in a game against Kidderminster, still needed resilience and a good team spirit to make sure it happened. So we keep bobbing along. We want to improve our performances, but we have a really good spirit in amongst the club.
Now, Kurt Zouma suffered a stomach bug before the Leicester City game. Has he recovered from that? Is he available for selection tomorrow?
Well, he's better, but it's taken him a couple of days to get over it. He had quite bad sickness and illness, but he's trained the last couple of days, so I'm hoping that he'll be available.
How's he doing at the moment with everything going on? Mentally, is he in a good place?
I think he's probably really disappointed about what he's done, and he's thinking about it a lot, no doubt. But overall, we're trying to get him to move on. No, we want him to concentrate on his training. He played very, very well for us against Watford the other week there. So we're hoping that if we can keep him at those levels of performances, we'll be really pleased with that. He's really well liked here amongst the supporters in these performances which he's put in throughout the season already. So hopefully he can focus on his football, and we'll give him as much support as we can until we get him right back to his best.
I can hear the wind in the background where you are as well. Any injury concerns, selection, worries at all?
Yeah, we've got one or two doubts and one or two question marks over some players who've picked up some injuries, but obviously I wouldn't give you that away, but we have just like every other club, we've got one or two injuries at the moment.
Okay, moving on to Newcastle, a different prospect to the team you faced in the opening weekend of the season. What do you make of the job that Eddie Howe's done since his arrival?
Well, I think first and foremost it's been a really difficult job to probably stabilise a club the size of Newcastle with all the changes going on, with maybe all the expectations which are going on at the club. But I think Eddie's a really good steady hand. I think he's someone who showed that he can build a football club. He's got an idea about how he wants to play. He's got a really good reputation in the manager's circle because of the good work he done at Bournemouth. So he's got a really big club now in Newcastle, and a club now which, as I said before, has got big expectations. I think the results recently have been good. I think they've brought in some new signings which have helped him as well. So there are much tougher tasks maybe than they were at the start of the season, but I have to say even Newcastle at any time is a tough task, and we'll need to be at our best to get a result.
Now you mentioned about some of their new signings. They had a blow this week with the Kieran Trippier injury. How much of a blow do you think that is for them? What do you make of his return to the Premier League and his form?
Well, I think Kieran Trippier is a really good player in the first place, whether he was playing for Newcastle or playing for MD else. I think he's a good player, a good fullback, and as we've seen before, his set pieces and his deliveries are also very good. So yeah, it'll be a miss that they've signed him and they've not got him. But I think what he's done is he's probably given them give them a bit of momentum, give Newcastle a bit of momentum, and they'll be hoping that they can keep that going. Our job's to get our form going again and keep our decent run going.
Final one from me, Mikel Antonio. He's scored just twice in the last 16 games. How much of a concern is that for you and for him as a player?
Well, I want Mick to get back on the goal scoring sheet and I want him to get on it regular. But if you look at us as a club, it's not a problem because we are still probably, fourth in the Premier League as goal scorers go. So we're really fortunate we've got other people who've stepped up, got goals through different areas in the team. And I think generally any football manager would probably want the goals to be shared around because it shows that you can score from different areas. But for me personally, I want to get Mick back because he's really important for the team. I want him getting back to the levels. And actually, in what I've seen, even last week at Leicester, he didn't get a goal. But I'm just beginning to see little bits which are giving me sort of encouragement that he's on his way back. And I don't think it'll be too long till Mickey's getting back on the score sheet.
David, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Move on to Anita from PLP, please.
Afternoon, David.
Hi, Anita. Hi, good, thanks, Anita.
I know you said that you wouldn't tell us any further specifics about team news, but I thought I'd still be cheeky and try and ask. Jarrett Bowen, you seem to have a bit of a knock at the end of the game against Leicester. Can you at all tell us, is he in contention for tomorrow?
Well, I would, just like I said before, Anita, I wouldn't give anything away, but as I said, we've got a couple of knocks, but I think all clubs will have knocks now, and I don't want to focus on it, but we've just got one or two people who are got a little bit of a doubt, and we just need to make sure we see if they can be ready for tomorrow.
Okay, and then following the Leicester draw, you said that your side wasn't in peak form, that you were still happy that you were getting points on the board. What do you think it maybe is that your side isn't producing at the moment, that we saw in earlier performances that got you to kind of fourth in the table?
I think we're a little bit more attacking was paid off. I think the things we've done at the time we're working a lot easier at the moment. We've not found that quite as easy, but also I have to say our goals haven't really changed. We still score goals. It just hasn't felt that way to me. I think 2 or 3 individual players have probably just not quite played at their levels. But as always, defensively, I was disappointed that we conceded 2 goals. We have to eradicate that quickly because conceding no goals will give us a great chance of winning. So we have to try and get stronger defensively. But I'm really pleased with the goals we are scoring and how they're coming around, whether they come in the first minute or the last minute. I'm pleased, and I think if we can find some form, we're top form in the run in now, it'll put us in real good stead for where we want to finish this season.
You said there that you were disappointed about things from a defensive point of view. I'm not sure if you're aware that West Ham's actually picked up the most points from a losing position in the league, 13 in total. I guess that's some encouragement, no?
Oh, well, it's showing you exactly what we have. We've got a group who are driven, determined to try and keep improving. I remember a couple of years ago just saying, look, we have to look to improve every game, every season. And when you mentioned your question about Leicester City, we took 4 points off Leicester City this year, which I would say generally would be seen as a pretty good return when you're playing a side such as Leicester City. So I think really, me personally, my expectations have grown on what I want from the players. I think publicly, supporter-wise, and I think it's good because it's a good sign. I think a manager's job is to try and grow expectations, and I think we're doing that here. I think we're giving ourselves bigger challenges, and we've got a lot of big games to come in the coming weeks and months.
And then finally for me on that Newcastle game, you did say it'd be a tough task. What kind of game exactly are you expecting? They will be without Trippier, but Eddie Howe's side have shown that they can get some good results. In particular, I think of that 1-1 draw against Manchester United.
Yeah, I think they've become a much more balanced team. I think they've got a formation at the moment which is helping them. I think they've got players probably playing in roughly the positions which suit them, and I think that's given them a good chance. As well as that, confidence in momentum is a big thing in football as well, and I think they've gained a bit of confidence in the results. They're probably looking and saying now, we're out of trouble now. We've got a chance of getting away from it, which will be giving them that momentum to try and continue.
Great, well, thank you and all the best.
Thank you, Anita.
Anita, just finally Emma from the BBC.
Hello, David.
Hi, Emma.
Hi. On that point, how much sympathy can you feel for Eddie Howe, because he started to get really good results, but you imagine the injury to Kieran Trippier is going to affect, their performances.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope it does affect the performances, Emma, I've got to be honest. But look, we've had injuries to, like Angela Igbona, for example, has been out with which has made a big difference to what we've had this season. So I think part of being in football as a manager is that you're going to get injuries at different time, and you have to try and find ways of getting through it. Obviously, when you bring in a new player, you want them to be fit and play, but it's part and parcel of it. So I hope tomorrow it does have some effect, Emma.
I'm sure you're aware of this, but you have scored in every home game in the Premier League so far this season. It's interesting what you're saying about needing to improve defensively, because if you're going into games at London Stadium almost guaranteed of a goal, then if that could be where you pick up some incredibly vital points.
Yeah, it's a really simple equation, Emma. You're right. I think we look as if we can score. We've had some games where we've maybe not been quite as sharp or quite as ruthless as what we've been. But I do think that us tightening up defensively, doing better than we've done defensively would be important. So, but in the same breath, I still feel that the fluidity we had probably in the early part of the season was still to get back through our midfield and front line. But defensively, when you're always not quite at your best, you need your defenders to get you through the game and make sure they keep you in a position where you can win.
One player who continues to impress is Jarrod Bowen. He's been involved in, I think, 8 of the last 10 goals scored by West Ham in all competitions. And there continues to be talk about him getting an England call-up. Is he getting better and better?
Well, he's certainly stepped up at different times when we've needed him. His goals, his assists have been great in the period you've talked about. So now what we want from Jarrod is that consistency. But he's become a little bit more, I think, in control of himself, a little bit understanding of the all-round situation. His finishing's become very good recently. He's in good form, and we talk about confidence. Jarrod's in a really good vein of confidence at the moment in form, which is really important for the forward players.